You finally hit a money goal you once thought would make you feel safe. You check the number, feel good for a moment, then immediately ask what the next number should be. That is the moving finish line. More money can absolutely improve a hard life. It can create safety, choice, and breathing room. But if enough has no definition, even real progress can feel like another reason to keep running. By the end of this video, you will have a simple way to decide what your next dollar is for. Not a rule that tells you to stop growing, one that stops growth from quietly taking over everything else. Most people assume the uneasy feeling disappears at the next milestone. Then the next milestone arrives, and the mind adapts quickly. What used to feel impossible starts feeling ordinary, and ordinary starts feeling inadequate. Defining enough does not mean settling for less than you want. It means deciding what you are trying to protect while you grow. Ambition is useful. Endless comparison is expensive. Think of money in layers. First, it helps you survive. Then it helps you feel secure. Then it gives you choices. After that, more can still be enjoyable, but it should not be mistaken for an emergency. At the survival layer, more income matters urgently. It can cover food, housing, transport, and the bills that keep arriving. There is nothing shallow about wanting relief when life already feels financially tight. At the security layer, money stops every surprise from becoming a crisis. A buffer, lower high-cost debt, and basic protection do not look glamorous. They make ordinary life less fragile, which is a far better feeling. At the choice layer, money buys room to make a decision without panic. You can leave a bad job, reduce a draining commute, rate train, move, or handle a rough season without every option being closed. The trap often begins after security improves. More money still feels good, so we assume more must always be the answer. But the next dollar can start buying things that need even more time to maintain. This is not about judging nice homes, cars, or experiences. It is about noticing when the lifestyle around them needs every future raise. The upgrade looks like success, but it can quietly remove your ability to slow down. Every extra dollar has a source. Sometimes it comes from a skill you enjoy using. Sometimes it comes from a longer commute, another client, less sleep, or being mentally present everywhere except your own life. So the question is not only, how much does this pay? Ask, what does this require from me after the money lands? That is where the real price of the next dollar becomes visible. Some extra income is worth pursuing because it improves your future. It can build a useful skill, reduce debt, fund a buffer, or create work you find more meaningful. More is not the enemy. Other income costs too much because it only funds a bigger baseline. If every additional hour disappears into new fixed costs, you may earn more without becoming any freer. That is growth without room. Pause on this privately. If your income rose tomorrow, what would you want it to change first? More freedom, more safety, more time, or simply a more expensive version of the same pressure? Before spending a raise, give part of it a freedom job. It might strengthen your buffer, reduce costly debt, invest for later, or remove a recurring task that drains your week. That is a freedom dividend. Looking rich and feeling safe are not the same achievement. One can be very visible. The other often looks boring from the outside. Lower stress, fewer desperate choices, and enough room to absorb real life. Comparison makes enough hard because someone will always have a larger number, a newer object, or a more impressive story. If their finish line becomes yours, your own progress will always feel late. Some goals are truly yours. Others are borrowed from family, colleagues, or the internet. The borrowed ones can be especially exhausting because you keep paying for a life that does not actually fit. Start with an enough floor. This is the level where your core life is covered, your basic risks have a plan, and you are not relying on constant rescue from the next pay cycle. Then name an enough freedom target, not a luxury fantasy, an amount or condition that gives you a specific choice. Maybe it means changing jobs, working fewer hours, taking a course, or being able to say no. You may hear the 4% rule used as a rough financial independence shortcut. It can help start a conversation, but it is not a promise. Your expenses, taxes, market conditions, health, and timing still matter. The useful question is not, what number looks wealthy online? It is, what does my household need for enough safety and enough choice? A number without a life attached to it is just a scoreboard. You do not need to reach full financial independence before you can have enough for the next chapter. Enough might be a stronger buffer, less debt, a part-time option, or the ability to leave one bad situation. Also look at how dependable the income is. A high income with no buffer and no recovery time can be more fragile than a smaller income with skills, savings, and room to adjust when life changes. There is nothing wrong with a season of effort. The difference is whether it has boundaries. A defined stretch, an end date, and a clear purpose can build freedom. An endless stretch simply becomes your new normal. Use the enough switch before a major work or spending decision. Ask whether it adds freedom, whether it adds fixed costs, and what version of your week it requires. Write the answers before the excitement decides. Then picture an ordinary Tuesday, not a holiday or a bonus month. Does this choice make that Tuesday feel calmer, more capable, and more yours? Or does it make the day more crowded just to sustain it? Create a stop rule for extra work. For example, do not accept work that repeatedly costs sleep, health, family time, or your core plan unless it has a clear end point and a clear freedom purpose. Create a purpose rule for extra income too. Decide where it goes before it arrives. When every raise has a job, you are less likely to accidentally turn a temporary gain into a permanent obligation. Enough should include joy. If your plan leaves no room for a meaningful meal, hobby, gift, or rest, it may be too strict to last. Sustainable wealth is not a life where nothing is allowed. If you share money with someone, define enough together. One person may want more security while the other wants more time. Neither is automatically wrong. The real problem is chasing different finish lines without saying so. Tonight, finish this sentence. Enough means I can. Make it concrete. Pay the basics without panic. Handle a repair. Leave a bad job. Take Fridays back. Or help someone you love without breaking yourself. Next, protect the first layer automatically. Even a modest transfer can make the plan real because it turns enough from a feeling into a structure. Structure is what stays when motivation gets tired. After your floor and freedom target are funded, more money becomes a choice instead of a chase. You can still build, create, invest, and earn. You are simply no longer asking every dollar to prove your worth. The wealthy mindset is not chasing forever. It is knowing when the next dollar buys something real and when it costs too much life. Enough is not the end of ambition. It is the point where ambition serves you. Write your enough floor, name one freedom choice you want money to protect, and use the trade-off test before your next major upgrade. Subscribe for more practical wealth growth breakdowns like this.